Hi, welcome back to my channel and welcome if this is the first video that you're clicking on. My name is Yasmine and this video is all about how I plan to do a low spend 2025. For those who don't know me, I have ADHD, I'm a single mum to 2 children, I work a full-time corporate job that is pretty full on. I have been in and out and back in of a lot of debt in my life while I've been trying to navigate becoming a single parent and all of the additional responsibilities and stresses that come with that. A few years ago, I found myself in £37,000 worth of debt. I cleared all of that debt and then I took a big career change and I left my job to be able to be around my kids more, which was the best decision at the time, but financially it wasn't great. I'm now back in a significant amount of debt, but I'm fortunate that I learned all the lessons the first time round. So I'm really good at budgeting. I know how to budget. I have my own budget spreadsheet, which I'll link in the description. And there's obviously lots of videos of me using that budget spreadsheet. And I also just approach life in a very different way. I try to make sure that I really want and need something before I purchase it. There are moments that I find that really difficult because ADHD and a lifetime of just buying stuff. I definitely have had shopping, maybe addiction. I don't know if it would be that far, but I have had times where I've just bought stuff that I really didn't need. I'm very impulsive. And it takes a lot to get myself into a place where I'm really considered and routine about everything. And so a low by 2025 is going to be a huge challenge for me, but I think it's going to be really, really good for me for cementing the good habits that I've built up. The other reason that I really wanted to do it is that our house is a little bit too small for me and the kids, and we have 2 sausage dogs as well. It's going to create more space because as well as not buying stuff, I'm going to reduce the things that we own. I want to live a really simple and organized life. I've said for years that I want to be a minimalist. And now is the time that I'm really going to tackle that. So of course, I'm going to take you guys on the journey, and what better way to start 2025 off with this low buy intention of setting some ground rules. So first up, obviously, there is planning to do a no spend or low spend year or month. It depends on what you want to do and achieve. I just went for a year because I was on TikTok live and everyone was like, yeah, go for it. So I just thought, why not? It's just going to be one of those years where I'm trying to earn as much money as I can, pay off as much debt as I can, and get myself into a really good position. So it seemed like the perfect thing to do alongside that to support my goals. One of the things I've been doing loads is reflecting on my habits and really cementing the fact that I am good at budgeting and I am good at knowing what I need and what I don't need. Really this year, I want to just really practice my impulse control. As someone with ADHD, that is quite difficult, but it's absolutely not impossible. So I spent some time obviously thinking about my habits, and I also analysed my spending. I've been looking at my spending very closely for about 2 or 3 years now, and I know exactly where the places are in my budget that I spend unnecessarily, and that tends to be when I buy things that I don't really need. So this not buying and spending less is going hand in hand for me. Let's get into some of the categories and rules that I'm going to apply to myself during 2025. So let's start with probably the biggest category in terms of how much I've changed over the last few years, and that is clothing. So I'm on a weight loss journey at the moment and I have lost 4 stone or around 4 stone. I've lost exactly 31 kilos for those who know kilos, and I'm still losing more. So the clothing situation is something that needs a little bit of nuance. If I genuinely run out of something because I have lost more weight and the things I have don't fit me, I am going to allow myself to sell items on Vinted or somewhere else and then use that money to repurchase the items that I specifically need. And when I say the items I specifically need, I don't need another jumper. I have 3 or 4 jumpers. I don't need another pair of leggings because I have 8 pairs of leggings. If all of them didn't fit me, then I would buy 1 or 2, but I would need to sell the other ones first. I think even though I'm losing weight, I've still got things in my wardrobe that are going to fit even if I have lost weight, because I tend to wear dresses. I'm also going to try and ensure that if I do need an item of clothing, that I buy a second-hand item of clothing where possible. I'm going to say that if I need new underwear, I'm going to allow myself to buy new underwear, but things like dresses and clothing, I can buy that secondhand, particularly because I'm a more typical size now, and so things in charity shops and on Vinted, there's more opportunity to find something that I like because there's more available in the size that I am now compared to before I lost the weight. I will also buy an item of clothing if I need it for something specific. A year is a long time. I don't know what's going to happen. I might be invited to a wedding where I have to wear something specific, or I don't even know if I have a dress that would be suitable for a wedding. So if an event or something like that comes up and I need something, I'll consider hiring an item or buying something. But again, I will try and find something secondhand. I need to be really good with planning and just make sure that I do this kind of stuff in advance. That's one of the things that I've always struggled with. I'm very last minute, and that has always meant that I end up spending more money and not being able to take advantage of secondhand and opportunities like that you could if you had a little bit more time to plan. Clothing for the children, I'm going to treat in exactly the same way. They've got loads of clothes. They got quite a lot of clothes towards the end of last year. And I also put their summer things away during winter, and everything I put away I know should fit them as we go into summer. If they do need something, I tend to always buy things from Vinted anyway, particularly for Amber because it's really easy for girls. I think sometimes it's harder for boys, there's less available. Callum's also really heavy on his clothes, so they tend to get worn out before they're too small, and I think that's the same for lots of boys. So I think there's less selection available on Vinted and things like that, but I will definitely try my best. And if I have to buy anything new, I will try and buy from shops that are as ethical as possible, and I will also try and buy like in the sale so it's as cheap as possible for me. The second category that I have considered is tech. I am a marketer's dream. When a new tech product comes out, I want it. I see it, I want it. I don't know why, because I have spent my entire life buying the new tech products and then not using them. So I know that I want it, but I don't need it because I'm probably not going to use it. However, that has continued for my whole adult life. And I think it's something to do with like when I was a kid, like even though we were pretty skint, we always had like computers in the house and stuff. I've just always been like a very tech interested person. But I am saying I'm not allowed to buy any tech unless one of us absolutely needs something because something breaks. And if we do need something, for example, if the children broke their iPad and they really needed one to do their homework, I will really question whether I need to buy the latest model. That's the other thing that I've always done. I've always bought the latest model. I've always bought the most expensive one because in my head, I think that means that's better, it's a better quality, it's, you know, and sometimes for tech that's true, but also you need to think about what you actually need to use the tech for. And if it's my kids doing some homework and watching some YouTube, they really don't need the latest model. So I will be looking at the cheapest options and refurb, secondhand, and all of that kind of thing in the tech space as well. But essentially, I'm not allowed to buy any tech unless we absolutely categorically need it. Essentially, what I'm saying is I am not allowed to buy any tech in 2025 unless we absolutely need it. The next category I'm going to talk about is my business. So as you know, I've been self-employed for 2 years. I've now gone back to a full-time job. In that 2 years and before then, when I was running my business, because I used to run it alongside my previous full-time job, I was a true believer in investing in yourself. The amount of courses I have bought and then either done them and then not used the knowledge or the skills or the tools that I've got from it, or just not finished the course. I have spent thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds on trying to learn things and realizing that I already knew how to do those things. It's just huge imposter syndrome. So I'm not allowed to spend any money on learning anything in the whole of 2025. I don't need to learn anything else. I'm quite good at learning myself. I'm quite good at finding free knowledge on YouTube, and I absolutely don't need to be buying any courses or masterclasses in 2025. I'm also going to look at all of the expenses in my business and try and get it to be as low cost as possible. I run a number of websites at the moment. I'm going to close some of the websites. I'm going to scale back everything I'm doing just to make it really, really simple and turn it back into a side hustle that I can manage without too much effort alongside my day job. Next up is the kids. So what I'm going to do here is continue to give them their pocket money on their Go Henry cards. I've had a chat with them and I said that mummy is very bad at giving them their pocket money and then also treating them like whenever, really, when we're out and about, like, can I just have one thing? Can I just have one thing? So I've said we need to work as a family this year and all work together and they need to also think about their own budgeting. A couple of years ago, I was really good at this. I gave them their pocket money and then they did what they wanted to do with it. But I have slipped back into, okay, yeah, it's a book, so I don't want you to pay for that. I should be buying you books. And there are things that I should be buying them as a parent, but a lot of the time, they don't need the things that they're asking for. Next up, beauty. So where I'm talking about beauty, I'm including shampoos, makeup, anything we keep in the bathroom, moisturizers, skincare, like literally anything that you could buy somewhere like Boots. I'll even go as far as to say like hair tongs, hair dryers, all of those kinds of things as well. And actually, let's also include toothbrushes, even toothpaste. Let's include toothpaste. This is going to be a buy it when it runs out only if you need it. I have so many products that I use sometimes or very rarely, or that are sitting there and I'm like, I'll use it one day. I don't want this clutter in my house anymore. So I'm going to actively try and run down everything that we have, and I'm only going to replace the things that we absolutely love, we really, really use, with a new bottle or tube once it runs out. So for example, the shampoo that I'm using at the moment, I can only replace that and buy another shampoo if I check in all my shelves and all my cupboards and all my stashes that there isn't another shampoo. If I find another shampoo, I have to use that before I can replace the first shampoo. And then I will not go to the shop and buy the shampoo, the pre-shampoo, the conditioner because they're on a deal. I'm going to buy what I need only. My makeup is really simplified now. I use 2 lipstick shades. I use 1 mascara, but I know that in my makeup box, I have other products. I, again, am going to run everything down before I replace anything, and I'm only going to replace the products that I absolutely love. Gone are the days of 20 different shades of lipstick when I know that this one and my corally colour really suit me and I'm just going to stick to them. It makes my life easier as well, not having to think about which lipstick to go for, because this goes with pretty much everything in my wardrobe. Another category that I have been overspender and over-consumer in is stationery. I have had many years of my life where I've been very obsessed with stationery. I attribute some of it to ADHD. When I start new projects, I want a new planner to do it with, but I also get bored of planners and then try a new one. And this is just a constant cycle in my life. I get stressed and overwhelmed, and then I think, well, if I buy a new book and start my lists again, everything will be better. And it doesn't work. As a result, I've spent so much money on stationery over the years, and I've had so many half-used books and planners over the years that's, 1, a complete waste of money, and 2, a waste of resources. So my rule for 2025 is that I'm absolutely not allowed to buy any stationery. I probably have enough in my house to last me for the rest of the year, maybe even 2026. I can buy pens if all my pens run out. And that is really if all my pens run out. I need to go around the whole house and collect up all the pens into one location so that we can actually use them up before I buy new pens. Obviously, if the children need stationery for school, I will buy them stationery for school. But for me, I've got what I need. So it's a big fat no for 2025. Next up, it's the dogs. The dogs have about 4 different collars and 6 different leads each. They don't need any more. I go to places like Pets at Home when I'm buying their biscuits, and I see all of the beautiful new dog brands coming out. They've got such nice collars, and they've got like little Disney characters on, or little patterns and stripes. And because I love colour and I love pattern and I love things that I see in the shops, I am always so tempted to buy more and more and more things for the dogs. They literally do not need them. So I am not allowed to buy any accessories for the dogs. They've both got a coat for the winter for when it's cold. They've got enough blankets. We've got enough of everything for the dogs. So I am categorically not allowed to buy anything for the dogs this year, unless they actually needed a coat or a fleece to keep warm in the winter, which at the moment they don't, so they shouldn't next year because they're not going to grow anymore. Or they run out of toys or balls, then I can replace those. And obviously I can buy them food, treats, and things like that. In the past, I have bought them like sprays to make them smell nice, and I don't even use these things. So again, I'm going to be trying to run down all of the dog products that I have, and I will not be replacing them, apart from 1 shampoo, which is what I use when we bath them. Next category, books. I have mentioned before across my social media, I am not a reader. I love books. I tend to listen to them on Audible, but for some reason, when I go into gift shops or bookshops or a WH Smith's when I'm waiting for a train, there's always a book there that I want to buy. So I have ended up with a huge pile of books that I genuinely want to read. I really want to read all of them. I've also got to know so many people across social media, and loads of people bring books out, and I want to be a supportive friend and peer, so I tend to always buy people's books when they bring books out as well. I can't do that anymore. I can't afford to, and I just don't need to. So I am not going to buy any books for 2025, but I'm also going to challenge myself to read all of the books that I have in my house right now. I've already done a declutter, and I have given away the ones that I've either already read or that I don't want to read anymore. So what I've got left in my house now in terms of my books are all books that I would like to read. So I will make a separate video, possibly a short, where I list all of the books, and I will just then try and tick them off throughout the rest of the year. No book buying for me in 2025. And if the children want books, I'm going to try and get them secondhand books as well. I am terrible for doing a mass book order when they have read everything they've got. I do believe it's really important for children to have books. I can also encourage them to start using the library again. The library is literally at the end of my road. So that is what we're going to focus on this year in terms of books. Next is homewares. I think there's a bit of a theme here. If it's colourful and pretty, I want it, because homewares is another category where I buy things that I don't need. I do genuinely have so many beautiful things in my house that I love and cherish. But again, I really want a simple life. I don't want too much clutter around. I think there's still some way to go to reduce the items that I have, but I have made a huge headway in the last few years. I'm not the kind of person who buys things seasonally. So I've never bought Christmas bedding, for example, or Halloween decorations. I tend not to buy that stuff. So that's one thing that I've already got sorted. But I do sometimes buy new bedding because it feels like I haven't bought any for a while. There'll be none of that. I will buy new bedding if we need new bedding, but again, it's another category where essentially I'm not going to be buying anything. We don't need currently any bedding, any towels. We'll probably need new pillows because I tend to replace all the pillows each year. So at some point I may need to buy new pillows, and then decor and stuff like that. Again, really don't need anything. I do have some goals in terms of decorating and renovating different areas in my house. But when it comes to those spaces, if I need furniture, I am going to look for freebies on the internet. I'm going to use Facebook Marketplace, see if I can get some bargains. I will also only get things when I've really planned the space out and I know exactly what I'm doing with it. I have definitely bought pieces of furniture before that then just didn't really work how I expected them to. So I need to put more planning in and make sure that I've really thought about the room and exactly what's needed before I make any purchases, even if those are low price secondhand purchases. I've also got a massive stash of paint. So when I come to redecorate some of the spaces in my house, I'm going to try and use up what I've already got. I have been very fortunate in the past to work with some decorating brands, and as a result have received multiple tins of paint for different spaces in my house and maybe not use them up. So when it comes to trying to redecorate, I'm going to see what I've got in the first place before I go and purchase new. I am going to allow myself to buy things that I need to get my house to where I want it to be, because that is a big goal for me this year, to just be really happy in my home, be really comfortable that things are laid out how I want them, things have got a home. This is just part of that feeling really organised and being on top of stuff. It's really important to me now that I work full time, to get my home to work for us as a family. So if I do need to make some purchases in order to make that happen, I will, but I will be trying to keep costs down. I'll be trying to make stuff or reuse things in a different way. I'm definitely going to try and be more creative to try and limit what I need to purchase to get my house how it needs to be. Next up is experiences. So this was probably one of the hardest ones for me, because when I've talked about budgeting and spending less money in the past, I've always said I want to spend less money on things so I can spend more money on experiences. That said, in the past, I have been known to be a bit overzealous with my planning of holidays and things. I can honestly say in 2024, I did not book a single holiday or go on a single holiday. So I did a whole year with no holidays, and I'm actually really proud, because it's something that I will find every excuse of why I need to go on a holiday. And that is because in a high pressure job and in an unhappy life before, holidays were the only thing that brought me joy and let me relax and let me enjoy myself and recharge my battery. I'm so fortunate that I have found other ways to do that now. So like I said, enjoying time at home, being with my kids, decorating, just being outside, being with the dogs. I've got so many other things in my life now that let me calm and relax and take me away from the busy, crazy, full-on life that I have with my ADHD as well. And yeah, so I'm really fortunate that holidays are no longer the only thing that make me feel like I could cope with life. So there is no plans for any holidays. I can't afford it. I really want to pay my debt off. And so unless there is really big reason to go abroad, I do have family abroad, I'm obviously half finished, like a wedding or something, then I will not be booking any flights. And I do want to do lots of fun things, so I will be looking for opportunities to get discounted days out or freebies, or just looking around at what's happening in London. There are lots of museums and exhibitions that are free, and I'll be starting to use those a lot more again. I was a very organised mum when I first became a mum. I used to find all of the great deals, all of the good events that were going on when my children were really small. I had a double buggy and I used to walk around London for hours and hours and go to different museums and always had a packed lunch. I was on it. And then I went back to work and things got more difficult. Then I became a single mum, and my ability to sort of like organise us as a family to find fun things for the children to do just got lower and lower and lower. I do feel like I'm in a space now where I can start to look at that again and start to try and take them on days out that are low cost, but that we all enjoy as a family. So this is a little bit of a grey area. I will be spending money on days out because I think it's really important for us as a family, particularly if we won't be travelling this year, but I will be trying to limit the cost. I will also be taking packed lunches, bringing water bottles and doing that kind of thing so that there aren't extra expenses attributed to days or weekends out. And finally, food. Obviously, we know that we need to buy food and eat food. I am going to be meal planning. I'm going to be really careful to not buy excess. I have been terrible at having too much food, throwing things away and not using what I have. My children's father hasn't lived here for 5 years, but I never really learned how to manage the food in a way that works for me. He was a big cook. He really enjoyed cooking. So we always had all of the herbs, all of the ingredients, because he could knock something up with what we had. I don't have that cooking ability. I have to plan things out and keep it simple. But yet I have still continued to stock my cupboards in a way that really suits someone who can just cook something off the cuff and has recipes in their heads. I've always got flour and all of these different things in my house that I never use. So I am going to do a huge kitchen declutter, and I'm going to pare it right back down to the stuff that I know I use. I'm going to get rid of anything that's in jars or whatever that is out of date. If there's stuff that's in date that I just know I've bought because I think I should have it in my cupboard, I will be donating it to a food bank. But I'm going to just try and get my kitchen to be as minimal as possible. Again, with my ADHD, it is so much easier if I just have the few things I need for now and maybe the next few days. We've been using Gusto boxes a lot, which is thanks to you guys for using my code. I will leave it linked below. Depending on when you're watching the video, you usually get 70 or 65% off your first box, which is an amazing bargain. And I then get some credit when you use my code. And so I have built up some credit, and we've been so fortunate to be able to use that over the last few weeks. And that has worked really well for us. I'm not sure whether it's something that I can afford in my budget going forward always, but certainly when I have the credit, that makes it a bit cheaper for me. That is a great option for us, and it does keep the supplies lower, which is what I really need. I'm using my freezer for dog food now because they have fresh food that I keep in the freezer. So I am storing less freezer food long term, but I definitely need to tackle the cupboards. So I will be doing that. I will be meal planning, and whilst obviously we will be buying food in 2025, we'll be keeping it to a real minimum. I don't want to be buying any last minute food outside. I don't want to be buying drinks. I don't want to be paying for water. I'm going to be carrying a water bottle around. I will eat my lunch at work 3 days a week because it's £3 and it is a delicious meal cooked by a wonderful chef. Other than that, I won't purchase food while I'm at work. I will be working from home and make myself lunch, and I will make sure that when I'm out with the children, I have thought about what times we're going out. Have we eaten before we leave? Can I take snacks with me? Can I take a packed lunch? And that kind of thing, to again limit any cost of extra food outside of our weekly meal planning. I think that is absolutely everything. I'm sure there'll be some bits that I've missed. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Maybe it gave you some inspiration. Let me know in the comments what your plans are for 2025. Are you doing a low buy or a no buy? What rules have you got? Do you think my rules sound realistic? How do you think I'm going to do? I feel like this is a really good compromise between no buy and where I have been. I still think this is going to really push me outside of my comfort zone, and I think that only good things will come of it. Hopefully I'll have less stuff by the end of the year, my house will be more organised, and I will have budgeted my way through 2025 into a better financial position than I am now. Not to mention the positive impact on the environment if we all consume less stuff. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.